Hello, internet. I was going to do another best of the worst, and you know what? I just couldn't torture myself anymore. So tonight I bought, Saturday night, being special and all, I got me some Appletons. It was on sale. Excellent rum, excellent. If you can buy this rum, very good rum. It's delicious with 7-Up. This rum, any sort of amber rum, is really good with 7-Up, and especially Appletons. It's a delicious rum. Where's it made? Jamaica. Made in Jamaica. It's quite good. I haven't heard of it until recent times. About 5 or 6 years ago, it kind of popped onto the scene. But anyway, it's good. Get some in ya. But that's not what tonight's video is about. Tonight's video is about me being kind of bored and your brain starts to overwork a little bit. So anyway, I found this cow skull on one of our little adventures going four-wheeling. I was like, ooh, cool, cow skull. I'm gonna take that home. You know, fuck knows why. But anyway, I'm sitting here. That was out in my driveway for the past 2 months. And I was looking at it and I started thinking to myself, I should do some forensics on that. Okay, so the first thing I noticed was a few little BB holes. That caught my eye pretty quick. So I had to investigate a little further. I took a flashlight and I put a light in behind it, and then I could see that many of these BBs, I don't know if you'll be able to see there, that's a clean hole. That's a clean hole. This is another very large one. It may have been several through this cavity right here. That could have been the killer. And there's a few here. One here, one here. One that went through the eye. One that went through the skull here and came out the other eye. Rather brutal way to go for a cow. Usually they're killed with a .22, not a shotgun. So the dirty fucker that did this, like, that was pretty mean. So the next thing I wanted to do was figure out how brutal this was. I know how dangerous a shotgun is, you know, at certain ranges, and I know what it can do. I did come up with a shooting background. Don't do much anymore. I'm not really into that, but as a kid I was raised in that sort of environment. So what I was looking for was how far away was this thing shot with a shotgun. And first I had to assume it was a shotgun, because at first I was thinking, well, they're kind of big. It might have been a .22. So just on a hunch, I shook the skull and I only found one BB, but I did find a lead shot. A single lead shot. It's very small, and this is just a typical grain shot, typical lead shot. It's nothing special. So the other thing that tells me is that it wasn't shot by somebody who wanted, you know, that cared about this animal, because farmers don't shoot their cattle with shotguns. You know, it's just too messy and it's too unsure. 22 between the eyes is usually the way it goes, or something larger. But so anyway, this is what I did next. I took welding rods and I put them in the holes. So I took these rods and I lined them up in the holes. Okay, let's get another one. This one goes through the back. This one didn't do no damage. While I'm doing this, the one thing I did notice is that it did go through some fairly thick skull. That leads me to believe that it was a close shot. If it was, see, a cow's a pretty damn tough thing to shoot. You know, it's got a very thick skull. If you're gonna kill it with a shotgun, you better be awfully close. So, this one's fallen down because the hole is kind of rotten away, but it does line up with the other holes. This other one, same thing. It's just kind of, because it goes in and out so quickly, it loses its angle. But all of these maintain this angle. And let's see, if I put that one right there where that hole goes, then pretty much this tells me that this thing was shot at about, and I've kind of figured it out just loosely by looking at where it would theoretically come to a point of a barrel, and we're talking about 10 to 15 feet away, maybe as much as 20. I don't see tons of holes in the sinus cavity here, but I did notice that most of the bone, which is usually very thick right here on a cow, is missing. So I'm thinking that the ones back here were more or less the stray shots, and that the shot came from more or less this direction, and the bulk of the pellets went through the eye here, probably bounced out of the eye cavity. When they hit all that fluid in the eye, that tends to slow down their velocity quite a bit, enough so that they wouldn't go through the bone on the other side. And in here, it just kind of blew away this whole sinus cavity. So it was that. It probably bled to death, and probably a little brain bleed in here. So I would venture to guess that the thing died a pretty horrible death. Whoever rustled it, they may not even enjoyed this cow. It probably ran away, bleeding and screaming. The angles actually dictate also that the cow was feeding. I set the skull up at an angle so that at 15 feet away, the head would have been down, likely munching on grass, that sort of thing. So anyway. So, cattle forensics. That's about as much info as I could deduce from this. Other than the fact that this happened, you know, I've seen bones deteriorate in the woods, and I'm just from my personal experience, this would have had to happen probably between 5 and 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago at the very most. Usually, a lot of wild animals love to chew on this stuff. They get the calcium and the bone meal out of it, and it's good for them, you know. And that's all I've got. CSI Ashdale. So anyway, we'll talk to you guys later.